Hello, this is Sam Gerrans from samgerrans.com. Today is Friday, April 7th, 2023, and today I'm talking with Manosphere.
Hey.
Now, as you know, I'm interested in questions of delusion and so on, and obviously it affects both men and women, but I would argue it affects women more. Now, Manosphere has a popular YouTube channel where he presents and comments on women being delusional, TikTok videos and so on. He's Romanian, lives in Romania, and I want to get to the work. But first, I want to understand something of your life story. What is the narrative arc which results in a popular YouTuber who deals with women's delusion in English who lives in Romania? How did that work?
It's quite funny because I didn't see Red Pill videos until about 2 years ago. A year and a half ago, 2 years ago, something like that. I saw Fresh and Fit, if you know the podcast.
No, I don't.
No? They're a very big podcast. And I saw that, and of course they had, oh my God, his name escapes me now, the godfather of the Red Pill. How is it called?
I'm sure it'll come back to us, but I mean, you know, what I wanted to get to first was, I mean, how old were you at that point, and what was it that led to you, I mean, growing up in Romania? Let's go to that first. Am I right? 35, 36 now? Is that right?
Yeah, 36 I'll be this year in September.
So when you were growing up, it would have been mainly after the Ceausescu regime. You wouldn't...
Yeah, I was born in 87 and Ceausescu died in 89.
Okay, so you're not like a Soviet child or anything like that.
No.
But what was it like growing up in post-Soviet Romania? What was your childhood like, and which city were you in? Was it? I mean, we all have an impression it's all really tough. Was it tough?
Yeah, but it's normal. If you don't see the outside, how everybody else lives, you don't know nothing else. So you don't think, oh, this is not normal. I saw movies, I saw cartoons, but I didn't think that I thought those men and those women were special. That's why they made movies that's not normal. Not everybody lives like that.
I see.
You understand? So for me, it was like me seeing the rich. And I was just said to myself, yeah, the rich live different from us. It's normal.
So you weren't naturally comparing yourself with it?
No, because I didn't think that everybody had the freedom that you saw in movies and that lifestyle. You don't get that because you're living like everybody else here. You see everybody and you see the movies in America and you just say, yeah, those people are special. That's why they live that lifestyle.
So how did people generally live in the Romania in which you grew up?
It was a tough lifestyle, but I think that's good. In my opinion, like for example, when I was little, I was bullied a lot because my ears was like this. So I had my ears like this.
Okay.
I had a surgery to make my ears like plastic surgery. Mm-hmm. So because of that, everybody called me Dumbo or other names in Romania because I had large ears sticking up like that. And I got bullied a lot. But that made me tougher. That made me better, in my opinion.
And economically, what was it like in those years?
It was tough. So I didn't live in the countryside. I lived in a city. But the kids in my neighborhood, like for example, when mountain bikes arrived to Romania, and everybody got mountain bikes, every child got mountain bikes, my parents didn't have money for that. So it was called Pegas. It was something Romanian made. And it didn't have any gears. It couldn't go fast. So because of that, other children marginalized me.
Sure.
Oh, you can't come with us because you don't have the bike and stuff like that.
People say children are nice and sweet, but they're not. They're absolutely horrible. No. Was it one of those, because in the Soviet Union we had these bicycles as well, where you didn't actually have a brake. In order to brake, you had to pedal backwards. Was it one of those sorts of bikes?
Yeah. Yeah, yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
I know exactly what it is.
You couldn't pedal backwards. If you tried to pedal backwards, it would just break.
Yeah, exactly. But instead of a brake,
Yeah,
that's how you
yeah,
actually break this thing. And
yeah,
it,
yeah,
it
yeah. And
actually.
it was really good because I could drift with it.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah, I could drift with it with that. Yeah,
okay, drift. I've never heard that expression used in
yeah,
bicycles. But in
yeah.
growing up, around that sort of time, at what point? First of all, no, I wanted to ask you: would you say that, because obviously you deal with what I would call women's delusion? That's the main focus of your channel. What were the women like growing up in Romania? Were they traditional? Were they going,
Yeah.
or were they crazy? How was it then?
No. So even if you had more masculine women or more crazy women, sometimes it's not like in the West. It's not at all until I started seeing red pill channels and I started seeing reactions to TikToks because I never had TikTok. In my opinion, when TikTok first arrived, I heard from everybody that it was a children's platform, that only children were on TikTok. So why would I go on TikTok?
Right.
Because the age, the average age on TikTok when it first appeared, it was like 14.
Okay. But there's something what happened before this, because I feel like there's an event that I want to get to. You grew up
Yeah.
you grew up in Romania. You had this quite hard life. Obviously, it was changing. I mean, I've spent a lot of time in the Soviet Union.
I got red pilled myself.
Okay, so
Because
what happened? What happened there?
I had two failed relationships. Like I was engaged 2 times.
Okay, I see.
And I saw, because of those relationships, even if I loved them and even if those girls didn't cheat on me, it was nothing bad, love isn't everything.
Right.
If you can't get along with that person, love isn't everything. And me, because I was stupid, I was young, I didn't choose women based on compatibility or priorities or mentality, same mentality. I just saw them on looks. I saw a woman that was pretty. Yeah, it doesn't matter. We don't get along. We have different backgrounds, it doesn't matter. So even if I was engaged, I saw that love isn't everything.
Now,
it doesn't matter.
I grew up in the West, and love is actually pushed in everything. You don't notice it until you move somewhere where it's not so prevalent. But in music, in films, in absolutely everything, we have a cult of so-called love.
And everybody says that you have a soulmate out there, and love can conquer all. It's not like that.
But it won't pay the bills. This is the fact of it.
It doesn't even matter about money. It's like if you argue with somebody, if you're not compatible, if you have different point of view, and it's the beginning of a relationship, or in 2-3 years, it's already bad. How can it be better in 10 years, 20 years?
Sure.
And I just saw myself in my head. I just saw myself getting married and divorcing after 2-3 years.
Is divorce very, as it were, popular in Romania? Are there a lot of divorces?
Yeah, just like everybody else.
And
just like everybody everywhere, because people don't vet each other properly before getting married. Most people, I see this even in my mother. My mother felt in love with my dad. My dad was in the military. He wasn't much around before they got married. And they just wrote letters, and I'm sure, 100% sure, that my mom and my father didn't know each other very, very good.
What do you think? What do you think are the questions that people should be asking each other before they get into a relationship?
It's not what questions. You have to see the red flags. Like I saw a lot of women saying, "How is it in my comment section? How is it my fault that he lied to me or he did that?" Nobody can pretend 24/7. The best liar in the world can't pretend forever. You will see if he does something that he says he will never do. He will tell you something, but do something different. You can always see it. You can always see the signs, but people ignore the signs. That's a problem. You understand? Even if I lie to you and I say, "Yeah, you're the most beautiful girl and I want to marry you," if I'm not acting like I want to marry you, then that's a red flag.
Now-
But women don't see that.
Red flag.
They say, oh, but he sold me a lie. He
Sure.
sold me a future. Yeah, but didn't you see he wasn't acting like that? Why didn't you see the red flags? Why didn't you break up with him? Like I hear about abuse. Okay, I was in a relationship for 5 years and he abused me. Then why did you why were you not in that relationship? Why didn't you break up with him?
Absolutely.
Before or the first time, after the first time he abused you? Why didn't you break it off?
Now, just so people who don't know, red flag is a bit of a technical term in the, as it were, MGTOW, red pill sort of environment. What do you mean by red flag? Because this is something.
Let me just tell you something. For example, after my first failed engagement, I said, okay, I don't want relationships anymore for a period. I want to just have fun. I could see I didn't want relationships, so I didn't care. But I could see girls after 2 hours of talking on Facebook or Instagram, they would come back to my place. And the first thing they would do when they would arrive, they would put their phone on silent and face down. That's a red flag. Because that means there are a lot of people contacting her, but she doesn't want the phone to ring so you know about it. You understand me?
Okay.
If she does that a few times, if you go to coffee with her and you see her all the time putting her phone on silent and putting her face down on the table, that's a red flag. People don't understand that. That's a big red flag because she has something to hide.
Well, also the fact that she's gone home with a man she's only spoken to for 2 hours. I should say that's a pretty big red flag as well.
I swear to you, I was with a girl in bed and her boyfriend called her and said, oh, I'm asleep. And I was with her in bed. I didn't even know that she had a boyfriend.
Okay. And so what you're saying is if you can't spot these sorts of red flags, then whose fault is it really?
You as a man.
Sure.
I personally chose those women. I admit that I was stupid.
Yes.
I didn't know what to look for. I just chose based on looks. So I can't complain, oh, she wasn't the woman I wanted. Yeah, because I didn't know what I want.
Why do you think we don't know? Because we as men, we don't have any training in any of this. And also I'd say part of the problem is
and also
women.
I didn't have a father in my life. I didn't have a father in my life because I was raised by a single mother and my mother then got remarried. But of course, that wasn't my dad. He couldn't give me advice like that. Sure. And I didn't recognize him as my father. I didn't have any respect for him.
I see.
That's why I say to guys, don't date single mothers. Because I know I grew up. Now I understand that I was acting shitty with that man because he didn't do anything wrong with me. But because I was a child and I had anger issues, I didn't see him as a father. You understand? Okay. Even when me and my mother would fight, he would try to intervene. I would say, fuck off, you're not my father.
Okay, I see.
What are you doing? You understand? So I can't even see myself in that position because I know how it is. I understand now because I'm older and I can understand, but back then I didn't care. Who are you? Go away.
Is that why you do this work? Is there a part of you which is trying to assist younger men to make better choices? Is that why you chose this path?
Yeah, that's one of the reasons, because I didn't grow up with a father. So, basic things. He never taught me how to shave, for example. He never taught me how to talk to a woman, what to do. I had to learn all these things by myself. And unfortunately, I learned them. I didn't learn them from when I was at the proper age to learn those stuff. I learned them at an older age when I should have already knew this stuff, but I didn't know them. So it was a disadvantage, but for me, in my opinion, when the world is hard and you have to deal with situations like this, it only makes you better. That's why I'm against the West. That's why I'm against the wokeness, because it's like they want to give everybody participation trophies for nothing.
Sure.
You don't have to go through anything hard. Everybody has to be nice to you. If not, it's harassment. If not, no, you have to go to certain things to become a better man. Like I said to you, I was bullied as a young kid because of my ears. I don't think that was a detriment to me. I think that only made me tougher and better as a person.
And this is what men understand as well, because if you fall over and hurt yourself, certainly in the West, and quite a lot of the time, the idea is, oh, well, I'll just back up a bit. We lived in Spain for a couple of years, and a small boy fell off one of these playing grounds onto what was essentially rubber, because they had all of the ground covered in this rubber.
Yeah.
And he started kicking up this huge hysterics. And the father was, oh, my poor child, oh, this and oh, that and oh, the other. And we were just looking at him completely bemused. What this child needed was a good kick and be told to get up and get on with it. There wasn't anything more to it than that. And I mean, you said you don't like the West. I have to say I grew up in it. And I just felt that...
In my opinion, all this cuddling, it only makes men more feminine.
Yeah, it makes them weaker. It makes them weaker. It makes them more like women.
And when he has to face a real problem... Yes. He doesn't know how to deal with it because all his life he was cuddled.
That's right.
Mommy, how do I deal with this? Mommy, what do I do? You have to figure it out.
Well, this is why they used to have, for example, in Britain, national service, which is you went into the army for a couple of years.
Yeah.
And if it didn't kill you, you'd be able to handle yourself and deal with things on the outside.
Yeah.
Would you agree? I mean, all right, let's put it another way. My view is that we're actually living through an agenda, that this isn't by chance. This isn't just that society woke up one day and decided, oh, we have to give participation prizes to people who are completely useless at everything, but it's actually a means of weakening the public in order to make them unable to stand up to the actual tyranny being the government.
Of course.
Do you go along with that?
Yeah, because who are the most dangerous people? Young men.
Yes.
If you subdue young men, then you have that there can't be any uprise against the government. There can be. Who will uprise? Old men, women, who? No, the young men are. Yeah, and it's an agenda, and I don't know what the world is going to do when everybody's going to be so feminine, so weak. So what happens? What happens when, like you saw in Ukraine or China or something like that? What happens? What happens then?
Well,
what happens then? I saw TikTok. I'm sorry, I saw TikTok from a guy. He was very feminine. You can see it in the video.
Mm-hmm.
He was working at Starbucks, and he made a TikTok in his break, crying that there are too many people and not enough staff, and he can't handle it. And he was crying, sobbing, working at a Starbucks. What happens when something actually difficult happens?
What, like somebody orders 10 cappuccinos when they're overstaffed?
The line was too big, and his manager didn't have enough people in. And he was crying. He can't handle it anymore. Well, at Starbucks.
At Starbucks. It's absolutely ridiculous. I noticed when I was in America, I traveled across America, because America is the center of everything. It all comes from America and originally comes from California. And I started my journey in California and worked my way going the other way across America. And
you started wrong.
What I realized was that in America, and certainly in Europe too, we have what I would call the weaponization of compassion. Now, there is a place for compassion. That's true.
Yeah.
You know, there are people for whom one does naturally feel compassion. But men, we don't feel compassion for everybody. We don't feel compassion for other men who could pick themselves up off the floor. And it isn't compassionate to mollycoddle everybody forever. In fact, it's a form of tyranny, and there's this almost passive-aggressive type of tyranny, a very feminized type, almost homosexualized type of tyranny that I felt this growing up in the West. I couldn't express it then, but when I came to Russia in the early 90s, which was a hellhole, I have to say, at that time,
of course.
I was thrown into total reality where it didn't matter what you did. You know, if you were in the way of a tank, it was going to roll over you, and that was just the end of it. And I was young enough for it to have a very beneficial effect on me, I have to say. But you know, do you go along with that? Do you think that they are weaponizing compassion?
I mean, I understand. Like for example, when there is a soccer match and they're kids. They're men, even if they're young. Let them compete. Let them see who's better.
Yes.
If you give everybody participation trophies just because they attended, then why should they strive to be better? Why should they strive to to kick a goal or to do something if everybody gets the same trophy.
Absolutely.
What's the point?
Well, this is socialism, isn't it? It's a sort of outcome-based thing where
I understand you don't want some children to cry because they lost a match, but you don't have to give everybody trophies, the same trophy as a winner. I mean, I don't see the point in that.
it means there's no excellence, and where there's no excellence, all you have is mediocrity. And also, children are looking to their parents and to their teachers to confirm reality. Where am I? Because we as men, I don't know what women are like, but I'm sure women are similar. There must be something similar. We as men, we know there's a pecking order. We know who the tough guy is. We know who the weakling is. We know who's going in goal when we're picking football teams. It's going to be the fat boy who can't run very fast. He's going in goal, and it's nothing to do with being nice. It's just reality, and I think that's why boys are less prone to this. There are beta males, but boys are generally more honest. If you say, do I look good in these jeans? Although most men wouldn't ask each other that. They'll just be honest.
Something.
Yeah, go ahead.
Let me just tell you something. I was at high school. Mm-hmm. I was on the volleyball team because it was an athlete high school. It was all about sports. You understand? Mm-hmm. My teacher, my coach, was so tough on everybody, and every parent knew that. Like I had one guy in my class that he was fatter, and he called him whale in front of everybody, yeah. And we would get whipped when we train. Our coach would get like twigs and whip us on our feet to jump higher, to do better. And it was normal. Every parent knew about this. He would beat us up if he caught me smoking. Oh my God.
You can just imagine what would happen to him today. He'd be in prison as some sort of abuser. I mean, that was the kind of world that I grew up in as well. That if you threw stones through, the neighbor's window, he'd give you a good slap, and then when you get home, your father would give you a slap as well.
Let me just tell you, growing up, we were troublemakers. We were children, and we did all kinds of stupid stuff. Okay. Police came. They never took us to the police station. Never. They would beat us up and then leave us on the side of the road.
Yeah, that's the difference here. I mean, I'll just tell a very quick anecdote. I know that when there was a Spartak versus Lokomotiv football match, and there were this is quite recent in Russia, and all the football hooligans, they wanted to fight. And what the Russian police, what the British police would do, they'd film everyone, and there'd be this huge thing. What the Russian police did is they let all of the supporters out. They made this huge cordon of policemen. They let all of the supporters out apart from all of these football hooligans, and then they closed ranks and just let them kick each other's heads in, and then nobody got arrested. Everyone went home. That's all they did. And this is how things are more in Eastern Europe. Is it still like that in Romania, or are things becoming softened?
Very softened. Like I remember, we would do all kinds of stuff as kids. We'll break windows or scare people or stuff like that. And somebody would call the police, and we knew the police didn't even turn on the sirens, so they could be stealthy. And they would come in the night and they would catch us and beat us up. But for us, it was like an adventure. We'd run from them, hide under cars. We would do all kinds of stuff. Now it's like, I remember I had a fight with a guy, and back then nobody would call the police. Like, we would resolve our stuff, and if the police came, we both run, and we wouldn't talk. What happened to you? Oh, I fell.
Right.
Now, if you hit somebody, they will call the police. They will drag you to court for that. It's. I understand it's not good. We were kids, and it's not good behavior. It's not. But back then it wasn't like this. It wasn't. Nobody called the police. You had to resolve something with somebody. You would fight, and after you had a drink.
Yes.
And that's all.
That's right. And I noticed this difference hugely when I first came to Russia. I mean, for example, what I see is a lot of men as well. They get hissy and hysterical about any sort of problems, whereas I'm just. As an example, I lived in Moscow for 16, 17 years. There was some man on the metro, or two men. I think they were trying to start a fight. Now, in the West, it would all been some big thing. The police would have been caught. And what happened was the other men on the metro just kind of moved towards them and said, look, guys, if you want to fight, just take it off the train because there are women and children on here. Just go and do it over there. And that was the end of it. It wasn't any huge thing. People didn't get hysterical. And they accept that, in this country at least, that if some men want to kick each other's heads in. I don't personally want to kick anybody's heads in, and I want to stay away from people who do. But if other people want to do it, knock yourself out. Who cares? Go for it.
Yeah.
You know, people express themselves in different ways. But in the West, it all becomes a drama. It becomes a feminine drama. Would you agree? It's all acquired this sort of feminine taste.
Just think about it. I had one guy hit me with a cue stick, like from pull stick. On the head, I had 3 bones here crushed. I had to have surgery in my face to reconstruct my bones, and nobody went to court.
Right. Well, I mean, we're not exactly here extolling the virtues of beating each other up. But,
no. But I'm just telling you how it was back then.
Sure, absolutely. But what's interesting is because Romania's in the EU, is that this is all changed. Do you think it's partly because it's in the EU? I mean, what's your sense of that?
Of course, because they have certain rules, and you have to have a certain lifestyle and certain rules to get in the EU. Otherwise, you wouldn't get in.
Are they pushing the homosexualization agenda? Is that all going big guns there as well, or not?
So let me just say it like this. Here, it's not like anybody cares. It's not... People are not so public, but like me, if you're going to tell me that you're gay, I really don't care. People don't care, but everybody is more hush hush. It's not in the open. It's not paraded like in the West. You understand? But people generally don't care. Of course, there will always be people who would have problems with that. But for me, it's like I really don't care.
I
really don't care. But in the West,
sure,
they parade it, and if you say you don't care,
yes,
oh, you're a homophobe.
That's right. They ascribe to
you. Have to look.
Yes.
If I don't want to look at you or at a drag queen show, no, you have to look. If you don't look, you're a homophobe.
And not only do you have to look, you have to applaud. You have to say that it's all wonderful.
Do you know about the law that was passed yesterday in Canada? So you can't say anything bad about drag queen shows. You will go to jail, and it's fined after like $20,000, $25,000. Yesterday, the bill was passed.
Wow.
In Canada.
I'll add that to the list of countries I can no longer go to then.
Canada is more woke than USA. It's 1,000 times more woke than the USA. There you can't say anything bad. You know Jordan Peterson, right?
I know of him, certainly, yes.
You know what happened to him?
No, go ahead.
No? So he's a psychiatrist in Canada. And because he's doing YouTube and saying all those stuff, some people complained, and he had to go back there and give an exam and be retrained how to talk on social media. Because if not, he would lose his license.
I see. So they take away, this is what they do. If you don't play the game, they take away your ability to provide for yourself.
You have to call everybody by their pronouns now.
Well, how can you remember that? I mean, they're also ridiculous.
So here, I've never seen anybody that has different pronouns than their actual... You understand me? To me, it was so crazy when I started watching videos like that. Because I told you, I didn't watch TikTok.
Okay.
So when I started watching TikTok, it was all at once, all the craziness, my God, I don't understand how you can call yourself frog self. It's so, how can you call yourself ghost self?
Well, they're mentally ill, aren't they? I mean, that's the short answer to it.
I don't know if you saw my channel.
Yeah.
At the beginning, I don't know. When I started my channel, I had a series called Woke Wednesday. In that series, I would only post about people with pronouns, and I had to delete my series, and I never made videos about it again because it fucked up with me mentally. So I couldn't take it anymore. It was so hard for me to edit videos like that and to react to videos like that I said, okay, I can't do it anymore.
What you mean the actual process of because I've seen your channel.
The actual process of finding videos like that, watching them, editing them, it was too hard because it's not about, I don't care, but I care about when people are stupid. I can't stand stupid people. It's like seeing somebody say stupid stuff one after the other, after the other, after the other. Only craziness.
Of course.
It's
well, I mean, you're living in. If you don't like stupid, I have to say you're living in the wrong time, because it is not only stupid, it's absolutely insane as well. I mean, the stuff that I've seen on your channel, and the thing is, for me, you provide an excellent service in so much as I can watch some of your channel and I don't have to put myself through. I don't have to put myself through what you do, because I don't have TikTok. I wouldn't ever look at it. And but you provide a slither that I can look at and go,
so
you really are crazy.
People think that being a YouTuber is so great. It's not. Just think about it. I have to see, like, let's say I put 10 videos in one of my videos, 10 TikToks. In order for me to put those 10 TikToks, I saw at least 50 videos. Oh. And from them, I chose the 10 best. So I have to watch like 50, 60 videos, the most craziness every day. And besides that, you saw what happened to my channel. So anytime you don't even expect it, you don't have any warning, your whole channel can be demonetized. Sure. Or you can have penalties or copyright strikes, or you understand. So it's not that fun. It's not that fun to always be fearful that tomorrow your channel will be deleted, that you have to start something new, that you have to. It's not fun.
It's very vulnerable, because is YouTube where you focus? Do you have other platforms that you?
No.
So
I have Rumble, but
okay, that's a backup, right? I would imagine.
Yeah, it's a backup, and I don't have an editor. So first of all the big channels that you see all have editors.
Sure.
I don't have the time, even for me to just upload to Rumble and to local and to. It takes time. And I'm mentally drained.
Sure.
I don't have the time for everything.
Sure.
You understand? Because I don't have an editor. It's if I had an editor and somebody to find videos for me and me just to react to them,
sure,
it would be so much
sure,
easier. I could make like five videos in the day.
Sure.
But I have to find everything. I have to edit everything. I have to react to it. I have to record myself. Sure. The lights, as I told you, because the lights are in my eyes every day, my eyes get tired.
People don't realize how much work it is. I mean, for myself, if you make videos, you have to edit it, you have to go through it, you have to check it, you have to make sure that the sound is all of that.
Just on OBS, as we discussed, just how many videos I had to watch to make it run so and so. Sure. It's not perfect.
Sure.
Then I had to learn how to edit videos, sure, because I didn't know that before.
Sure.
I knew the basics. I edited a video before or two on my phone, okay, but that's it.
Well, we're all on a learning curve.
Everything.
Absolutely, and people don't really understand that. They think you just stand and talk. Well, you actually have to.
How to make a thumbnail.
Yeah.
What to write in the title.
Sure. Sure.
Everything. Learn about CPM, RPM, all those stuff. Learn about YouTube policies, sure, how to upload the video, how to make it.
Yeah. You're basically a one-man business. You have to know absolutely everything. Yeah. I mean, you said that you talked about vulnerability, which if you're dependent on YouTube, you really, really are. Do you get attacked? I already know the answer to this question, but what's it like? Yeah. What's it like, and what is the nature of the kind of attacks? Are they mainly women attacking you? Are they what you might call white knight males attacking you? How does it affect you?
It doesn't affect me at all. That's why I say it was good that I was bullied at a young age. That's why I can read all the comments. That's why most people from the Red Pill community don't read their comments, because they can't handle it. I don't care. I laugh. I really don't care. It doesn't phases me. I care when I see stupid comments. It's not like, oh, you're bald and you're ugly and you don't have, I really don't care. It's like when you say stupid stuff, like I post a study and they say, oh, that study isn't true. Okay, then go talk to the people that made that study, because I didn't make it, and talk to them and ask them, or they ask me stupid questions. How was that study made? Tell me the metrics. And I don't know. I didn't make that study.
Okay.
So it's, or they assume something about my life. Like, for example, I made a video showing how the wall affects women over a certain age.
Okay, but
and I
please,
posted studies.
I must stop you. For my audience, can you explain what the wall is and then talk about the study?
So everybody thinks that the wall is when women get at a certain age, that they can't find men anymore. And that's not what the wall is. So when women are in their 20s, when they're young, and when they have their whole phase, you all know that women go out and just want to have fun, and they can basically get any man that they want. And sometimes, most of the times, because men would hook up with mostly anybody that's available at the moment, if the opportunity occurs, most women have a inflated self-esteem, self-sense of what their actual value is. Because they can get a high-value man, a soccer player, a rapper, somebody, it doesn't matter, you understand?
Sure.
And they think that's their level. And they start wanting men that are more high value. They start to want men that have more money. They have a list, they start having lists. And what happens? They start aging. And of course, I prove this with studies that men want, in general, men are attracted more to younger women. And what happens is they get older, and they hit a point after 30, 33, 35, they can't find the man that they want, that they think that it's on their level, because of course their list, as they go on in life, their list only gets bigger and bigger because of failed relationships, because she had a trauma with a guy that she loved and that guy cheated or something, and from now on, okay, I don't want guys like that anymore. I want guys that treat me like this, guys that, you understand, and the list only grows. And then you can't find the man that you want, because basically that man either doesn't exist or he doesn't want you, because he has options. He can pick another woman with less baggage, younger. So it's not about finding a man. Any woman in this world can find a man. I'm sure of that. It doesn't matter. You're 50, you can find a man.
Sure.
You can find a decent, regular man, but they don't want that.
And
they want the high, top value man that all women want. And they don't understand that they have competitions not only from women their age, but from younger women and older women and all women.
right.
And they have to compete. And they don't understand, why can't I get that man? Because there are 100 other women that want that exact man.
And this is where the delusion comes into it, because we as men would understand. We understand that,
Yeah, I understand that I have no chance with a supermodel.
Absolutely.
I understand that, of course.
Sure, we understand amongst ourselves where the pecking order is and all of that. We
Yeah.
understand it. But I think the difference is that for women, it's just handed to them. She just...
I had a colleague in high school. Every girl wanted him. He was fit. He was strong. He had all the women. I knew I couldn't get
Sure.
the women that he had. I knew that. I knew I wasn't that good looking.
But
I knew.
I think part of the reason why that men understand this and why we're not delusional, or at least not delusional in the same way that women are delusional, is because women don't actually earn it. They think they do, but they don't. All they did was wake up at 14 and suddenly she's bloomed in all the right places, and now she's attractive.
She just have to,
and she
have to
thinks,
dress nice.
She thinks.
And go out
And-
on the street, and she can get approached, or at the bar, or anywhere, at school.
And chew her food with her mouth closed. That's all she has to do, and just smile a bit and laugh at his jokes. That's it. It's not very difficult. The thing is, she takes that for granted, And what I see is there's a sort of there's a skewing of the market. When she gets to the age that you said, the wall, she then thinks that she's at 35 worth the same as a successful 35-year-old man.
No. She thinks she's worth more.
Or she thinks she's worth more. Exactly. So
because she had all this trauma
yes.
with past relationships,
right. Okay.
and now her list is even bigger because that guy cheated on me. So I don't want guys like that. Because that guy didn't buy me flowers, so now I want a guy that buys me flowers. That guy didn't go with me on trips. Now I want a guy who goes with me on trips. So and the list gets bigger. Because
she's not only delusional, she's also damaged.
Yeah,
which is
all of them are damaged.
Okay, I see. But what I've seen too is women. Go ahead.
Even men are damaged.
Oh, I agree they are. But I think there's a difference.
Because if you have failed relationship after failed relationship, even I have done this without knowing. Mm-hmm. I'll give you an example. Okay. After I broke up with my first that I was engaged with the first woman that I was engaged, without knowing, I would sometimes compare the next woman I would date with the old one. Oh, but she did that for me and she was like this, and this new girl isn't like that, and without knowing. So the more failed relationships you have, or even if you have a good relationships, let's say, for example, you have a really good relationship, but I don't know, you didn't like him after a while and you broke up. But during that time, he took you on trips. He spent money on you. Now, the next guy, you want the good parts from the last relationships. Sure. Oh, but the last guy took me on trips. He doesn't take me on trips. Yes. I deserve trips. So he's not good for me. I want a better man. You understand? So it's not good, and especially for women that focus on careers.
Yes.
Because you know what happens? They're focused on careers and they don't care so much about relationships. So even if a relationship fails, they don't care because they're focused on their careers. So they keep having failed relationships and hookups and all that kinds of stuff. And then when they hit 30, 35 and they say, okay, I'm good with my career and my money is okay and everything, I want a family.
Yes. And at this point, I think this is where the delusion, because what you've talked about is the delusion, the brokenness, and then the baggage, these three things together. And also when they get to 35 and let's say they've got money, statistically that money is going to level off and go down probably after that point for females.
The more money you make as a woman, the harder it is to find a man.
And also they think, or a lot of them think, that makes them more valuable in the marketplace, which it doesn't.
Because let me just tell you this, society now is pushing that we're all equal.
Yes.
They were all the same. And because of that, women think that if they all want that high value man. So a man that makes a lot of money, a man that is in charge, a man that is intelligent, that knows how to lead. They think that men want the same in them. So I have a good career as a woman. I have a lot of money. So every man should want me.
Why do they think this? Because this isn't what men want.
Because they all think we're the same as men. They're the same as men. They all think society wants to push that you can do whatever you want. You're the same as a man. You don't need a man. You're independent. You have a career. You're exactly like a man. They want to be us. And then when they actually want a man, they think that men look for in women like what they look for in men. But it's not true.
It's not true. Men look for...
We don't want a boss B that is independent, that has lots of money, and when we come home is nagging all the time. I said this a lot of times, guys. It doesn't matter how the woman looks. She can be Miss America. The most important thing in a relationship is peace. If you don't have peace, she can be Miss America. Sure. After a while, you either get in the head and you do something wrong, or you break up with her because you can't stand it anymore.
Right.
So some people, because of that, they delete themselves or they do all kinds of stuff, or you can't handle it anymore and you break up. But it doesn't matter. She can be Miss Universe with lots of money. The most important thing is peace.
Yeah, that's what men want. That's what men want.
just just think about it. I make videos all day. After I make a videos and see 50 videos about women saying all that stuff, when I want to go to bed, when I want to watch a movie, I don't want a woman next to me that will keep nagging me and nagging me and nagging me, because I can't handle it. At some point, something happens. You understand? So the most important thing, in my opinion, is peace. And we as men know that if she brings value to us and she brings peace to us, we are ready to settle. She doesn't have to be a 10. We can settle in certain areas for a good woman.
Absolutely.
But women want everything and they are not ready to settle. They would rather die alone than to settle with a man that they think it's beneath them. But they're not. They're at the same level as them, but because they have a career, they have money, maybe they hooked up with a few celebrities or a high value man. They think, oh, now I deserve that high value man. But you don't. Many men would hook up with most women. Doesn't matter even if they're under him in looks, in whatever. It doesn't matter. If the opportunity arises and he's horny, he will hook up with you. It doesn't mean that you're on his level. It doesn't mean that. You can see it on TV, like celebrities just message random girls and they fly them to wherever. And it doesn't mean that that girl from wherever that is unknown, that works at McDonald's, is not on the same level as him.
Of course.
But women don't understand that.
They don't understand.
And of course, that woman that works at the McDonald's that was flown by a celebrity, now her standards are raised up, and she says, "Oh, wait, I've been with that guy. Now, from now on, you have to have a McLaren to date me, a Lamborghini to date me."
And what she's forgetting is, of course, that let's say she was incredibly attractive when she was 21. She's now 35 or 40. It's completely different. The economics have changed. And the comparison I would use is that to help them understand what this is actually like is, how would it be if a man was a multi-millionaire? Because that's what they are when they're 20 and 19 and 18. Yeah. They're multi-millionaires. What would your reaction be if a man turned up who had been a multi-millionaire, but now he's lost his business, he's lost his money, he's walking around with no shoes, he's got nowhere to live, and then he's arriving at your door, knocking on the door and saying, "Well, darling, now I'm ready for you."
Yeah. Now I can have you as a supermodel. Yes. Now that I'm poor and I have no money
and no prospects,
you as a supermodel need to take me.
Yes.
You have to accept me.
And what I see is happening is the same things to do with the wokeism, is that what they do is they try to impose on reality a whole load of accusations. It's you're not being reasonable. It's not that men naturally prefer younger, more chilled out women who are going to make good traditional wives. No, there's something wrong with you. You're a bad person. And going back to the kind of chads that you were talking about, who flying around to Tahiti or whatever it is, these are the top 2 or 3%, and these are often guys they're not good guys. So these women are
in my opinion, let me just tell you my opinion. My opinion, you're not a high value man if you have to pay for a woman to come to see you.
I agree entirely.
I never paid for a woman, just like in a date, paid for her coffee or stuff like that, but I never paid for a woman to come from another city to me, or for me, it's that doesn't show me you're a high value man.
Also, these women are getting, let's look at the attention that they're getting. The kind of attention they're getting there is not marriage attention. It's purely sexual attention. And I think women can't distinguish between these two currencies.
Yeah, they don't.
They don't. They think that all attention is of the same type, and it's not all of the same type. And the time for getting married and getting that kind of attention, and the way to get that kind of attention, is to be modest. It's to be modest, and it's to have standards. It's to say,
just the fact that a woman says, "I'm a high value woman, I'm an independent woman, I'm a boss bee," turns off a lot of men. Sure. They don't even want to talk to her, but they don't understand that. They think that they have to brag about it, so men are more interested. But no, men are less interested when you declare yourself as an independent woman. So you don't need me. You don't need me as a man because you're independent and you can do it all. So why would I try to talk to you?
But they can't do it all. They don't build the buildings. They don't, if somebody's kicking the door down, they don't do the protect. I mean, it's just, we know it's the delusional. What can men do? Is there anything that we can do to improve things, or is it too late? What's your view on that?
We as red pill men already are doing what we can. We are trying to understand the nature of women. So when you understand the nature of women, it's a lot easier. But the problem is not this community. The problem are the simps.
You have to explain to people what's a simp, because some of my audience may not know.
So a simp is a man that would give his time, his resources, his love to a woman that doesn't deserve it. So they would do anything for a woman that maybe has 10 other guys like him.
Okay.
Or that a woman that cheats, or a woman that, I don't know, has social media and puts her ass off on social media or in order to attract other men and attention. But you as a man do everything for her. That is called a simp.
So this is the sort of man who will feed her attention addiction without getting what men generally want from women. That sort of person.
Just watch to the video that I will post today or tomorrow. So there was a girl. She told the guy she had a roster of men, and that guy sent her flowers because he said, I want to be in the top of the roster.
Wow.
And he sent her a card, and on the card he wrote roster boy.
So this is having no male pride whatsoever. I think this is the definition of simp.
No pride. How can a woman make TikToks about having a roster and you knowing that she has a roster and you trying to do anything to be on the top of the roster?
Wow, I'm living in a different universe to these sorts of people.
And it's a big problem. You know why? Because I see a lot of comments from guys saying, oh, well, it's not the fault of the men, it's the fault of the women. But because of the current society and social media, women won't change.
No, of course.
No, women won't change. And because of simps that go to OnlyFans, because of simps buying flowers and everything under the sun for women that don't deserve it and competing against each other, this won't change. You know why this won't change? Because even if a woman gets to 35 and she can't find that man, okay, 5 years go by, she still can't find that man. Another 5 years go by, now she's 45. She's ready to settle because she sees that she will be alone for the rest of her life. She will always find a simp to take her. Even, it doesn't matter what she's done. So women see that. Women see that in other women. So why should they settle? Why should they put up with anything? Because they will know, if this doesn't work, if I can't find the man that I want, either I will die alone and will be happy alone, or I can find a simp.
So the simp is the insurance policy.
Yeah.
Wow.
The simp is the bank. The bank. She sees that at the bank. The retirement. The man that would do anything for her. It doesn't matter. I know people, I swear I know people that liked a girl since high school. But that girl never gave them attention. Never. Now she's 40, she's been ran through, she's had a lot of relationships. Now she contacts him. And of course, because he's a simp, oh yes, of course, I'll do anything for you. I don't get it. So other men had her for free. She never bothered with you. She never gave you any attention. Now, all of a sudden, when she can't find a man, she calls you up and you're like, yes, of course, whatever you say.
What's wrong with these guys? What happened to them?
Unfortunately, I think it's the fear of dying alone. So some men are so unused to being alone, and the fear of never finding a woman, I don't know, I don't understand it. So I have a girlfriend, but if I was alone, I would be fine with it.
Sure, I mean,
you just have to you have to do something, you have to work something you like, and occupy your time. And I wouldn't care. Personally, I wouldn't care.
I think we all need some sort of society, some sort of community, preferably. But I agree with you. I think a man is defined by his mission rather than by his associations.
I'm a bit different because I told you I came from a rough background and I was bullied a lot. So I really don't care about personal interaction like friends. I have lots of friends. Some people, of course, think I have no friends or stuff like. No, I partied a lot. I partied for like 10 years. I have lots and lots of friends. Everybody knows me in the city, but I don't want to associate myself with people like that anymore because I want to do something different. I don't want to spend money all the time. I want to make money. I want to make a business. I want to do something else, and friends like that will drag you down. Oh, come party, this girl, that girl. I don't care about that
Sure,
anymore.
and I think it's part of just growing up. You realise you get experience, and you see you saw where they were 10 years ago. You see where they are now.
Yeah,
You think, do I want that? No, I
still
don't.
partying,
Sure,
still partying.
they
They're still
haven't moved on.
partying.
They haven't moved on. Just in closing, as we reach the end of this, I want to ask you: is there any hope? I mean, you spend so much time looking at these absolutely
No.
awful videos of. I mean, I have a daughter. My youngest daughter is 11 years old. It's horrific looking at what's out there, and
Yeah, you shouldn't look at like this. Like, you know the red pill now. You took the red pill,
sure.
so you know how to teach her,
Sure.
what values to instill in her. So that wouldn't be a problem.
I'm just going to have to stop you there. I got to stop you
know.
there. The thing is that you're fighting against all of this indoctrination. Now, I control what my daughter sees with a rod of iron. I mean, any media.
Yeah, but you're in Russia.
Yes, but people have an idea about Russia which isn't really reality. What people think Russia is this very traditional society, and there is some of it here. But we've got all the green-haired stuff, the green-haired women. That's all starting here.
Yeah, we have the same
Right,
here.
but we have
But you would know, you would spot her friends. You would know if she had bad friends. So you would know to tell her these friends aren't good for you. If a boy comes to take her out, you would spot that man, what's in his intention and stuff like that. So you can still manage some stuff.
I would argue that Russia has moved on a lot from the kind of Russia that people knew 20 or 30 years ago, and that we're sort of vulnerable to the same sort of influences here. But leaving aside Russia, what do you think sort of overall, more generally, do you think there's any way out of this delusion? Because without decent women, there is no society.
No, and the problem is that whatever America does, United Kingdom does, Canada, those big countries, it will trickle down to Eastern Europe, to other countries, Middle East, Africa. Not now, not in 5 years maybe, but in 10 years. In 10 years, in 20 years, what is now happening in America could happen in a more traditional country. So I think it trickles down. Even if in America, let's say, it stops at a certain point, it won't go further. The crazy won't go beyond a certain point.
Why do you think that?
Because it can't. Because society would fall.
Do you think that's what? Because my view is society is falling. I believe we're living through the collapse, and that total collapse is inevitable. I don't tend to, open conversations with that because it's a bit of a downer. But is that your view, or do you think there is any any way out of this?
I think I won't see any change in my generation. Not for the better. Maybe for the worse, but not for the better. Because you can't. Just look at birth rates, how they are declining. You know that bank Morgan and Stanley, I think it's called, predicted that by 2030, 45% of women will be single and childless. So they predicted that. I think because the birth rate will fall and fall and fall and fall, at some point, the government has to intervene because there won't be so much taxes, because there won't be people, there won't be so much, everything will start falling. But that you can't see the effects of that only in 10, 20, 30 years. But at some point, because of all of this, because women start to hate men now, and because they want to be independent and alone, people won't get married. Children won't be born. And because of that, at some point, when it falls enough, I think the government will have to intervene. Will have to intervene, like in China, when the China was overpopulated and they kept every family to 2 children. In America, I think it will be reversed. Like you would have to have at least one child or in a family or two children.
But what
Yes,
but
because
what happens if the government is made up of people with green hair who every time they cried were given some award?
doesn't matter. It won't be able to function anymore because there won't be enough people to make the country run.
Well, your scenario is more optimistic than mine. I hope you're right.
That's not optimistic. That's or maybe they open the borders to everybody and there will be an influx of immigrants.
Well, we already have that in the West, but
no, more than that, a lot more. I mean, like a lot. But then what happens to their native country? What happens to those countries from where the people come to America?
Sure. Well, I mean,
those countries will implode.
We've seen recently in Uganda, for example, they've actually passed some decent laws. I mean, maybe that's the future. Maybe that's where we're going to see some last vestiges of morality, because the old word for this was sin and immorality. That's what we are. Our society's become degraded and degenerate and absolutely revolting. Our grandpa, if you want to, just to get a sense of how far things have fallen, all you have to do is think back to your grandparents. What would your grandparents have thought of what's going on today? They'd have vomited. They'd have collapsed looking at what we take as normal today. I mean, we now have, as you said and you alluded to, basically Canada bringing out laws which protect the grooming of children. What is this? I mean, for me, and I know it's not a popular view, I think we're done. I think we're cooked. I don't think there's any stopping this.
I have no problem with the woke people. I have no problem with anybody. I have a problem when you try to enforce your views on somebody else. Like, I have to like what you like. I have to talk what you want me to say. I don't like that. Yeah. So if you want to do whatever you do, okay, but don't force everybody else to accept it or to even more than accept it, to participate in it.
But that is the definition of wokeism. It's not that before we used to have, obviously, the queer couple down the road that everybody knew. Yeah. But everybody just accepted it, kept it quiet. It didn't really matter. This isn't about this. Wokeism isn't about what they do. Wokeism is about how you react. That is wokeism. Yeah. They want you to embrace, to celebrate.
That's where I have
a problem. And so do I. So do I have a problem.
So if you have a pronoun, I don't care about your pronoun. If I see you how you look and you appear a certain way, I will call you she or him.
Of course.
But if you want to enforce your pronouns on me, then I have a problem.
And that's what it's about.
You can't enforce anything on me.
That's what it's about.
Nobody should be able to enforce anything on me.
But they won't be happy until you're in prison because you didn't call them whatever it is that they think that they are. Now, I think you're doing a wonderful job over on your YouTube channel. I think that you're fighting what I see as a rearguard action war against this depravity and degeneracy. I hope that your strength suffices for the wars ahead, and I'm glad that you have a girlfriend who isn't an added stress at the end of the day. Manosphere.
She watches all my videos. She watches all my videos and she laughs. She has no problem.
I think you've struck gold there. I will link to your channel down below for people who want to subscribe and to watch your channel. Thank you very much for making time to talk about this subject today.
Anytime.
Thanks a lot now.
No problem.
Bye for now.
Thanks.